Good morning and salam to all the students. Students, welcome back in your English online class. As we had already covered many chapters from our literature portion. So today we are going to study a new chapter. Let's see. Here is our new chapter, lesson number 7, Stepping Out, written by Charles Dickens. Yes, it is the part of his novel. So, stepping out, let me tell you the gist of the lesson. This is a novel which follows the journey of a particular character. Yes, a particular character. And the name of the character is Oliver. Oliver was an orphan by birth, and he spent his childhood with many other children at an orphanage. So, this entire story tells us about the journey and problems faced by Oliver. This particular lesson, stepping out, is only consists of a part of the Oliver's journey. So, if you want to know about the whole story of Oliver, you have to read the novel. So, as you know, reading is a very good habit, so you can start reading the novels. Before starting a chapter reading, let's know about the author. As I told you, this chapter is written by Charles Dickens. Here is the Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens was born on 7th of February 1812 and died on 9th June 1870. He was an English writer and social critic. Yes, English writer and social critic. He created some of the world's best known fictional characters and is regarded by many as the greatest novelist of the Victorian era. He is very famous English writer, and basically he is famous for his writing and as a socialist or critic. As a novelist, his work such as Oliver Twist, David Copperfield, A Tale of Two Cities, Great Expectations, and the Pickwick Papers are very famous and achieve both commercially and critical success. I am repeating his work name again: Oliver Twist, David Copperfield, A Tale of Two Cities, Great Expectation, The Pickwick Paper. His novels are much loved for their realism, his realistic type of work he usually used to do, a social criticism, memorable character, and comic touch. So, this is all about the author Charles Dickens. Let's see the main character of the story. As I told you, the particular character is Oliver, Fagin, Artful Dodger, Charles Bates, Old Gentleman, Policeman. So these are the character of our today's story, Stepping Out. Now, take out your books, open chapter number 7, and let's start reading. Ponder of the chapter. Oliver is born into poverty and hardship. His mother dies soon after his birth, and no one knows who his father is. So it means he lost his parents. Oliver is sent to a workhouse where orphans were made to work and starve. Oliver is eventually sent to work for Mr. Sorberry, but after the lateral apprentice, Nooch Claypole, insert his mother. Oliver loses his temper, unfairly punished, and start again. Oliver ran off early one morning. He has hardly a penny to his name, but he is desperate to escape this torture. So, as he was not happy at the workplace, and people also insulted his dead mother, so and one day he loses his temper and he just runs off. Oliver decided to walk 70 miles to London. He has no food, no water, and no money. Begging is illegal. By the time he reached a town outside London, he is about to pass out. Jack Deacon, who goes by the nickname Artful Dogger, finds Oliver. He buys him lunch and offers him free boarding at the home of a gentleman. So, Oliver met Artful Dogger. Oliver meets the gentleman Fagin. So, here the gentleman Fagin in a dilapidated house on a grimy London street. The place is dirty and full of old character and silk handkerchiefs everywhere. So he saw one strange thing, that a silk handkerchiefs is everywhere. Oliver noticed that the residents of the house play this strange game where they have to take silk handkerchief out of the Fagin pocket without him noticing. Soon, Oliver is drawn to this game too. But his friends go out to work every day and he wants nothing more than to accompany them. So here our our small introduction is over. Let's see some word meaning. Hardship, serve suffering. Hardship, serve suffering. Orphan, a child whose parents are dead. Starve, die for hunger. Starve, die from hunger. Debilitated, ruin as a result of age. Hobbit, angle. Stottering, walking in a slow, relaxed way. Okay. Now let's start our chapter reading. One morning, Oliver obtained the permission he had so eagerly sought to go out and work on the street. Old Fagin placed him under the joint guardianship of Charles Bates and his friend, the Artful Dogger. The three boys sailed out. The dogger with his coat sleeve tucked up and his hat cocked, as usual, Master Bates sauntering along with his hands in his pocket and Oliver between them, wondering where they were going and what he would be instructed in first. The pace at which they went was such a very lazy, ill-looking saunter that Oliver soon began to think his companions were going to deceive Fagin by not going to work at all. They were just emerging from a narrow court when the dogger made a sudden stop and, laying his finger on his lip, drew his companions back again with the greatest caution. "What's the matter?" demanded Oliver. "Hush," replied the dogger. "Do you see that old cove at the basketball? the old gentleman over the way?" asked Oliver. "Yes, I see him. He will do," said the doctor. Oliver looked from one to the other with the greatest surprise, but he was not permitted to make any inquiry, for the two boys walked steadily. So, here in this paragraph, what the other boys are trying to do? Do you have any guess? Yes, yes, they are going to do some stealing. Yes. Across the road and slunk close behind the old gentleman, towards whom his attention has been directed, Oliver walked a few paces after them, and, not knowing whether to advance or retire, stood looking on in silent amazement, because Oliver was new. He doesn't know about anything, what these three boys are going to do, what is their work. So he was just standing silently. The old gentleman had taken up a book from the stall, and there he stood, reading away as hard as if he were in his elbow chair in his own study. Also, this is something about the old gentleman. He was just mesmerized by the book. He was in, like, he was standing there as he was in his study room and just looking at the book. It is very impossible that he fastened himself there indeed, for it was plain that he saw not the bookstall, nor the street, nor the boys, nor in short anything but the book itself. So his concentration in the book is so much that it seems that he doesn't look anything, boy, street, stall, nothing, which he was reading with the greatest interest and eagerness. What was Oliver's horror and alarm as he stood a few paces off, so see the doctor plunge his hand into the old gentleman's pocket. Now, what the Oliver saw, that the doctor hands is in the old gentleman's pocket and draw from trench a handkerchief, to see him hand the same to Charles Bates, and finally to behold them both running away round the corner at the full sleigh. So what they have did, after taking the handkerchief from that old gentleman's pocket, they just ran away. In an instant, the whole mystery of the handkerchiefs and fagging rushed upon the boy's mind. Now Oliver understood why there are lot of handkerchiefs in that strange place. He stood for a moment, because he was very nice, a good person. So after seeing something happen, he just stood for a moment, with the blood so tingling through his veins from terror that he felt as if he were in a burning fire. Then, confused and frightened, he took his heel, and not knowing what he did, made off as fast as he could lay his feet to the ground. Now he knows what was the work of these boys. Now he knows the mystery behind the silk handkerchief. Now he knows that the boys are not doing any good thing. Actually, they are stealing or robbing. Yes, students. So, rest of the story we are going to read next in the next video. Meanwhile, you have to read the chapter underline the chapter, and after that you have to find out the word from the dictionary. So now you have to read these word meanings also, because from these word meanings I can ask you the question, what is the meaning of hardship, often, starve, cooked. I can ask anything, any question. Learn these word meaning as well as your book word meaning also. Okay student, so we will meet you in our next video, part 2 of this chapter. Saira.